Hi there, this time we're looking at some shuffle ideas incorporated with some ghost notes as the same I was looking at last time, so we can put them into a shuffle as well. Just a little explanation as to what a shuffle actually is if you didn't know. It's kind of a swung groove. So basically a typical shuffle hi-hat pattern would be something like this. Okay, notice again, like last time when I was playing the basic groove, that we've got this accented quarter note running through the figure and the unaccented offbeat eighth note triplet. The hi-hat is one of the most expressive voices on the drum kit. It's one of the keys to carrying a good groove. So I think if you can put this kind of expression on the hi-hat, it really makes for a better groove, and you've got this dynamic contrast in there. So that's the shuffle. In the context of a groove, a hi-hat part like that, and then a basic kind of snare drum and kick drum pattern, something like this. Okay, so that would be a typical shuffle groove, but nice to incorporate some ghost notes in there as well. Now the ghost notes we looked at last time were going in between the hi-hat groove part, and it's pretty much going to be the same again this time. The standard place for a ghost note in a shuffle groove is in between the quarter note on the hi-hat and the offbeat eighth note triplet. It falls exactly in between, and it fills in the missing triplet, the missing eighth note triplet, so you get a nice flow. And that's a standard way of putting ghost notes into a shuffle groove. And many guys use this. It's a very standard thing, and it really helps the flow of the shuffle. So if you get the shuffle hi-hat, and then you put in the ghost note, you get a nice flow of eighth note triplets. Okay, that's what it sounds like. It just fills it out, makes the flow a little bit better. So we can put in a couple of those ghost notes to that groove. Okay, again, starting to make it a little bit more fluid. Then we can, as last time, just keep adding the ghost notes. The next one to put in is the missing one after the backbeat. So this one. That's the hard one to do. You've got to get the downstroke, the backbeat down next to the head, and then play a quiet note after it. It's worthwhile practicing that technique though, because it's something that's used very widely, it's very effective. So that groove again with the previous ghost notes and then the extra ghost note. Okay, so hopefully you can see that's starting to get a little bit more fluid. There are other ghost notes that you can add as well. One thing I'd like to look at now is a concept called layering, which is basically when you play a ghost note with another voice. Normally ghost notes will fall in between the voices, in between the hi-hat, or on the shuffle. So it's kind of a linear line, but we can add ghost notes so they double up with other voices, and that really fattens things out. It can really make something sound a lot more full. So with that groove I was just playing, if I want to add another ghost note, the one I'm going to add is another one after the backbeat. So you have the backbeat and then you have another 2 ghost notes after it. So basically slowing it down with the hi-hat and the snare drum. Okay, so you can see that's it's quite tricky. You've got to get the backbeat and 2 additional ghost notes as well. So it takes a lot of control. The best thing to do with this is to practice it nice and slowly with a click, and don't speed up until you've got this stuff down, because it's the slower you practice, the more you can drill it in, train the muscle memory, and then when you speed it up to tempo, things should sit a lot better. You mustn't run before you can walk, so to speak. So I'll play that groove again with those 2 ghost notes. I'll try it on the ride this time for a little bit of variation. So starting to flow a little bit better, I think you'll agree. Another type of shuffle now with some ghost notes, one where the ghost notes feature prominently is the half-time shuffle. So basically I'm going to play the same shuffle on the hi-hats, but I'm going to play half as many backbeats, so it gives the impression that the thing is going twice as slowly. Very famous groove, made famous by great players such as Jeff Porcaro, and Bernard Purdy played this groove very well. So the shuffle hi-hat with the half-time backbeat and a bass drum pattern, something like this. Now this is one where the addition of ghost notes can really make a big difference. As Jeff Porcaro did and Bernard Purdy did, it becomes known as the half-time rolling triplet shuffle. And the ghost notes predominantly fall in between the shuffle on the hi-hat. So the hands start to look like this. Okay, this is one where the ghost note can afford to be really, really quiet because it's falling in quite a strange place. It's on the second triplet of each eighth note. If it's too loud, it can start jumping out of the groove at you. So really, if you keep it nice and quiet, that's going to really add to the effectiveness of this groove. Okay, so I'll play that groove again with those ghost notes and a kick drum pattern. Sounds like this. Okay, I was putting a few others in there. The double up from the backbeat with the 2 ghost notes after it, the single just after the backbeat, and again you can just play around with that. They're the principal locations for the ghost notes, so you can put them in where you like. But I think they make a really big difference to the groove. There is one other location you can squeeze in there as well, which is, it's a little bit busier, and you have to be careful with it. It can clutter a groove up too much, and that's in between the 2 notes of the shuffle. So there's the shuffle, and the other ghost note. quite nice to use now and again. Okay, so there you go, that's the shuffle with some ghost notes.